Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing the Las Vegas Raiders have fired Josh McDaniels as their head coach. This wasn't very breaking news type-ish. It was more we saw it coming. We knew it was going to happen. I thought it was probably going to happen, wait till it happened after the season, but they decided midway through, Josh, you got to go. Josh McDaniels, through his two attempts of being a head coach, he was with Denver in 2010, went about 11-17 as a head coach. Then he got booted out of there, went back to New England, was the offensive coordinator there with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick for quite about a decade. Then he got another stint as a head coach with the Raiders, and throughout the few years of him being there, he's won about 20-33. McDaniels got to Las Vegas. We all thought, oh my God, this guy's going to be the one. Maybe he can really turn it around in Vegas. You got Derek Carr, you got Devontae Adams now there, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. This offense should be electric. Little did we know he was going to run that team straight to the ground. So what I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to break down why he got fired, what he did wrong, why things went wrong, and then who should be the new head coach going forward. Because right now they do have the interim head coach that maybe he could be a candidate, but do have about 4 or 5 candidates that I think they could possibly look more into. So without further ado, if you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure you do drop a like. And without further ado, let's get into it. So like I said with Josh McDaniels, he got into the Las Vegas Raiders, and we all thought, we were looking at this offense, we said, okay, you got Derek Carr as a quarterback, top 15-ish, potential to be top 10 quarterback. Devontae Adams comes in. We think he has the potential to be top 5 wide receiver. Hunter Renfrow is a very underrated receiver. I've said in a previous video I made when I was talking about the trade deadline, I thought Hunter Renfrow might be traded at that time. He did not. And then you got Darren Waller, who I still think is a really good tight end. He's now over in the Giants. He's getting his talent wasted away over there. When you look at Josh McDaniels throughout all those years in New England, the New England offense, it was always like around a top 5 offense. Now looking back on it, and now with the way how Belichick has been here in New England without Brady or McDaniels, that team is just dog shit. So do I think it was completely McDaniels just being a puppet there, as well as Belichick being a puppet there for Brady? No, I think McDaniels does have some offensive mindset within the team. He knows how to run an offense. His big thing is he doesn't know how to coach the guys. Because a lot of players have been talking about over the past couple days, especially after they just beat the Giants. They completely annihilated the Giants. And the guys all said after the game, whenever they were in the locker room and they were all in there puffing cigars, they said it feels like a cloud was just lifted off of us. And I think the reason why they're saying that is because McDaniels, he comes into this franchise and he's almost putting a mindset in them like, you do what I say. We're going to do this way. I'm going to be a strict head coach and we're going to run things my way. Well, here's the thing, McDaniels. You can run a team like that if you're winning. Like if you're out there going 13-4, 14-3, but it's a strict mindset and you got to follow his rules. It's going to suck, but hey, you're winning. You're going to the playoffs. Chance to win a Super Bowl. Fuck it. But when you're almost like just coming in every day, it's like it doesn't feel fun. We're trying our asses off. The littlest mistake can get me yelled at and possibly fucking kicked off the team, and we're still losing games. It's not fun. When the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels, they also actually fired their offensive coordinator and their general manager. And during that game, Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, when he was coming on the field, everybody in that stadium, it felt like anybody that could see him walking on the field during the pregame was chanting, "Thank you, Mark." Two things with that. One, I understand why they're saying thank you, Mark, because this coaching and general manager combo was just a disaster. But two, he hired them. Why are you saying thank you for him for firing them when he hired them? Shouldn't you be mad at him for even hiring them in the first place? But to move on, the head coach they went ahead and brought in, well, not really brought in, but promoted, was their linebackers coach, Antonio Pierce. And one of the things that Antonio Pierce has said in his pregame, like I guess you could say press conference, whenever he was introduced as the head coach or interim head coach for the time being, he said, I'm just going to let the guys play free. I'm just going to let them have fun. It's like, at this point, you were 3-5, now they're 4-5. It feels almost like you have nothing to lose right now. They know they're going to be getting a new head coach next year, a new general manager, new everything next year. So for this season, they're just going to go have fun. They're going to go just live free. And I feel like somehow Josh McDaniels is somewhere saying like, well, they could have lived free in my book. No, they couldn't, because I guarantee you, with the way how Bill Belichick is, if Josh McDaniels is trying to coach the same way Bill Belichick is, I guarantee you the second the guys, if they were trying to celebrate a sack or anything, McDaniels would probably just ruin their fun and trying to be like, get your asses back on the sideline. Or if they caught a ball for like a 15-yard pass, that's huge. They're trying to celebrate their boy. But instead, McDaniels is probably yelling at them, fucking cussing them out. But now that that's out of the way, let me kind of go through and run you through about like a couple candidates that I think could possibly be not really the guys, but people they could look at for the head coach. Because some of these are people they really need to look at, and some of these are like, maybe you consider them. First up, Antonio Pierce. The reason why I say that is because this is going to come back to another name that I'm also going to say later on, spoiler, that when you have somebody in the locker room that the guys are already looking to as their leader, you can't really just abandon that guy, especially if he shows promise. As the next couple of weeks go on, if this season goes well and they can get to 10-7, 9-8, somehow make the playoffs as a wildcard team, kind of like in 2021, 22, whatever year it was, and they go to the playoffs, even if they don't win a playoff game, it's going to show promise that, hey, this guy can lead us. Sometimes with these coaches, they look at coordinators and they think, I need to get a really smart offensive coordinator, or I need to get a really smart defensive coordinator here. That's not the case. You can hire offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators to be the smart guy, but sometimes when it comes to a head coach, if you can just get somebody in there that can lead men, like a Dan Campbell, for example. Dan Campbell, I don't think is a really good offensive or defensive coordinator whenever he came in, but when he had that press conference, you looked at him and you said, I want that guy to be my coach. I will play for him. When I watch Antonio Pierce on the sideline and I see him in his post-game interviews, that's a dude I want to play for. Number 2, Rich Bisaccia, I think is how you say his name. He was actually the interim head coach the last time when the Raiders fired Gruden. When Gruden was fired a couple years ago from the Raiders, Bisaccia stepped in. He became the interim head coach, and he led them, I think, to like 6 wins over those last half a season. He's currently the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers right now. I think with ease, if they wanted to go get him, they could. Same thing with what I said a minute ago with Pierce. I think Bisaccia, he's not really going to be your X's and O's, intelligent, smart head coach, but he's going to be the kind of guy, like I said, he's going to know how to lead men. Next up, we got Brian Flores. The reason why I say Brian Flores is because I think he deserves a head coaching job. Over the past couple years, he's been going through a lot of ups and downs, suing the NFL. He was with the Steelers. He was with the Dolphins there as a head coach for a while, and he did pretty good with the Dolphins. He's currently the defensive coordinator with the Vikings. I think the Vikings right now are like a middle-of-the-pack defense at that time when I'm talking about this. Yeah, they're about 14th to 15th ranked in total yards when it comes to the defense. When you look at the Raiders, they already have a really good defense going on no matter who's their defensive coordinator have been over the past couple years. I think you bring a guy like Brian Flores in, like I said already, he can lead men. He's going to have that great defensive mindset, so you're going to be able to capitalize on your defense. You're going to be able to lead your guys in the battle every single week. The only thing Brian Flores is going to have to do is he's going to have to find a way to get a really good offensive coordinator in there. Next up, we have Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is currently the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. He's been coaching up that Dallas Cowboys defense to be dangerous over the past couple years. In 2020, I forget who the guy's name was, but he was the defensive coordinator, or that guy was the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys there, and he had that Cowboys defense looking awful, and I mean awful. When Dan Quinn stepped in, that defense immediately turned right back into a top 5 defense. He's had them playing on fire. He has the front 4 being just destructive when it comes to disrupting an offense. Dan Quinn knows how to build a defense. He was a part of the Legion of Boom on that coaching staff with Seattle. He has been with, obviously, like I said, Dallas here over the past couple years. He was with Atlanta whenever they went to the Super Bowl back when they played Tom Brady. I think all in all, when it comes to Dan Quinn, if you can put the 28-3 aside, I know it's going to be hard, but if you can put that aside, he's a decent head coaching candidate. And my last candidate is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is going to be the kind of guy where going into this offseason, I believe, is going to be probably the first head coach hired if the Lions decide to let him go. If the Lions willingly are just like, you can go if you want to, and Ben Johnson wants a head coaching job, he's going to be the first guy hired as a new head coach this offseason. The guy has that Lions offense looking really, really good this season. He knows how to have a really good run game. He can get a good passing game. He's made Jared Goff look like a top 10 quarterback so far. He's young. I believe he's only like 37. Yeah, 37. So he knows how to still connect with the guys. And with the fact of him being on the coaching staff with Dan Campbell, I feel like he can take that like mindset of like trying to just galvanize the troops and be like, he's going to be one with the guys. Because a lot of times with these coaches, they go in there and they try to think, I'm the leader, I'm the guy, you need to look at me and do what I say. Sometimes some players like that. Most players, they like a coach that it's like, I'm going into battle with you. And then the last thing, if, like I said earlier, the defense for the Raiders is already pretty much good to go, I think. Earlier with Brian Flores, I think if they want to go the defensive route, I would say probably go on Brian Flores or the Dan Quinn route. If they're looking for an offensive genius to come in there and transform this offense, Ben Johnson will be the go. But something tells me Ben Johnson, he needs to go to the right franchise to have already like a good roster kind of already in place for him, a decent quarterback, some receivers there, a decent running back. That way he at least has something to work with going forward. So it kind of comes down to this. Do the Raiders want to go into a offensive mindset coach? If that's the case, Ben Johnson. Defensive mind coach, you're going to be going with either Dan Quinn or Brian Flores. Or if you're just looking for somebody that can lead your troops, like I said, you can go with Ben Johnson, or you could go with Bisaccia, or you can go with the interim head coach they already have currently. It's up to the Raiders to go from here. Mark Davis, he's the guy. I don't know if he's going to hire a head coach or a general manager first. If he hires a general manager first, Obviously, the general manager and Mark Davis are going to have to get together and figure out who they want to be their coach. But if he decides to go another route that other teams have gone in before and want to do the coach first, then the GM, he can always do that too. But other than that, that's all I got to discuss for today's video. Hopefully you guys did go on to enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you go ahead and drop a like. It's very much appreciated if you do so. If you watched the entire today's video, thank you very much. And you had a different opinion on kind of what you think the Las Vegas Raiders should do, who they should hire as a head coach. Do you think it was a good idea, bad idea for the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels? Should they wait until later on in the season? Leave a comment down below what you kind of think of the whole situation. If you are a fan of the content here that I'm posting and you want to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post a video here on the channel. But without further ado, this has been Don't Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.